Agriculture depends on rainfall for crop growth and production, and of course our food comes from agriculture, and so food security is linked to agriculture. Without agriculture you cannot have food security, but to get food security you must be able to produce enough, you must be able to have people accessing the production, and of course the nutritional quality of the food has to be of adequate standards, so you then have food security, but not just food but food security, which is a more complex issue than just production of food. Well, without water you cannot grow crops, and therefore you basically need water to produce crops. The difference now is that, in the rain-fed agriculture you rely on rainfall, and which is often variable, and sometimes rainfall doesn't perform the way it should, so we get drought, and sometimes you have extreme events which leads to floods as well, and high temperatures, which all then affect the crop performance. So food security can be affected by weather conditions, including rainfall, and especially now we are hearing more and more about climate change. In climate change you have rainfall variability which is increasing, and also extreme events are increasing, which means more floods, more drought, and sometimes linked to more pest and disease problems as well. Resource poor, the farm sizes are small, and they often are not properly organized, and they don't have support services to help them. So they often are much more vulnerable. And so when there is variability in rainfall or extreme events, then they can suffer more than if you were a large farmer who has more resources. But there are now models which can help family farms if they work together in a socially organized way. Then they can capture the economies of scale, they can buffer against unexpected events. But more importantly, we now have an ability to introduce with the family farmers a new system of farming which is much more sustainable, and this is happening in South America, like Paraguay, Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, and also it's now beginning to happen in Central America. So it's a question of now organizing the development programs in such a way that there is widest benefit sharing for small farmers who should increasingly participate in such development programs. Well, I personally am hoping that this conference will come up with some very concrete recommendations as to what needs to happen in terms of support to small family farms, in terms of changes in production practices, in terms of access to markets, in terms of even land tenure issues, which may in some cases push farmers to behave in a very short-term manner. But if there is secure land tenure, if there is market access developing, and if we have good extension knowledge and farmer is participating fully, then I think that we can have a different potential being expressed by small farmers, and this is what I hope we will come up with. And for example, I will be speaking about conservation agriculture tomorrow. Conservation agriculture is a system which is anybody can practice it, including small farmers, and it is not heavily input dependent. It depends on ways of growing crops and managing your soil and land system in a sustainable way, so that the small farmer is able to recuperate any damage that has been caused, and also improve soil health, which then also improves crop productivity. And that's what we are hoping tomorrow. And there are already, in the program you see, we are going to talk about conservation agriculture, but there are other systems like agroforestry and silvopastoral systems, and these are all very relevant for especially hilly terrain where simple agriculture does not work easily. It degrades the land very quickly. So we now have a better way of managing land sustainably, stabilizing the landscape, and maximizing the soil health and productivity relationship. So I think that this conference should come up with some very concrete and practical recommendations which Ministry of Agriculture can use, Ministry of Environment also can use, and Ministry of Water. I think water is included in the environment, so we hope, and this is why both the ministers are attending the conference, including Minister from Honduras.